Hello, I'm Dr. Mike Passo from the Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory of Columbia University, and I'm here today to talk to you about a program that we have called Earth to Class, and how through Earth to Class we're able to connect students and teachers with volcanology researchers to stimulate the next generation of geoscientists. My co-presenters are Dr. Terry Plank and Dr. SUSANNE Straub of Lamont Doherty, with contributions also from Dr. Annette Lev and Jim Signorelli. We all know that volcanoes are a key component of the earth sciences, but few students and teachers have personal experience with erupting, dormant, or extinct volcanoes, although 800 million people live within 100 miles of a volcano. Most of those students and teachers who do have experiences get them through vacation trips, not through scientific studies. Currently, there's about 16 erupting volcanoes around the world. Usually there's about 20. So how can we learn about volcanology? Well, I'm going to talk to you today about the Earth to Class workshop model that we have at Lamont Doherty. This is a part of an ongoing series of Saturday presentations for teachers and middle and high school students. For most people, textbooks and videos are the way in which they learn about volcanoes. These are informative, but not necessarily inspiring. Volcanoes are inherently interesting to students and teachers of all grades, but with the vast majority of American earth science students, the main source of information, textbooks and videos, generally provide only simplistic descriptions of complex phenomena that may not provide the stimulus to entice future science research careers. Here's a typical example of a textbook illustration of Mount St. Helens, which erupted in 1980, and a diagram from that textbook that shows the parts of what's going on beneath the surface, but doesn't really convey any of the dynamic processes that bring up and pahoehoe lava, or the ash, or the pyroclastic flows, or everything else that comes in a dynamic volcano. Middle school earth science students who excitedly watched with me as Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980 are now in their mid-40s and helping their own children to learn. We haven't had a continental US eruption since then. Another problem with textbooks and videos is that they often fail to convey the dynamic nature of erupting volcanoes, or the excitement and inconvenience connected with travel to make discoveries. But listening to the scientists directly is a way of getting around that weakness. We can't bring teachers and students to the field, but we can bring a sense of being in the field to them by hearing firsthand accounts of discovery. It's a good second best to being there. Relatively small number of students in the Pacific Northwest, Alaska, and Hawaii do know volcanoes as features of their skyline on a clear day, such as Mount Rainier from Seattle. And some fortunate teachers can afford to go as tourists or in guided groups to Hawaii or Alaska. This is not an option for most educators or students, so what's the alternative? Although we know that lecturing is not the ideal way to learn, most students and teachers still have the skills to obtain new information by hearing from trusted experts. The Earth to Class workshops at the Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory have proved over 2 decades to be an effective way to provide broader outreach of cutting-edge investigations and to stimulate students and teachers to learn about our planet. E2C can also provide role models for students from underrepresented groups. The Earth to Class program connects classroom teachers and students with investigators, so they're stimulated through learning directly about cutting-edge discoveries, how investigators really conduct science, and what problems still need attention, so that when these students enter the post-secondary programs, they've learned from people who can serve as their role models. Since 1998, more than 100 Lamont scientists have presented almost 200 programs to several hundred teachers and middle and high school students in Saturday morning programs, which we're now offering via Zoom. Because the backgrounds of the participants vary widely and may not align with the scientist's topic, I provide an introductory slideshow at the start of each program, which gives some common understanding of the topic to be discussed, and it introduces them to unfamiliar terminology. This usually takes the first 10 or 15 minutes of the 2 to 5 hour programs. These usually provide a summary of the knowledge about volcanoes required in middle and high school earth science standards. These slideshows are posted on the Earth to Class website in advance so that those who want to prepare may do so at their own pace. The website also allows those who cannot or did not participate to have a chance to learn about each topic. During the summer of 2018, there were a number of volcanic eruptions in Hawaii, which destroyed many homes and covered up roadways. The lead Lamont researcher for this experience was Dr. Annette Lev, and she came in September of that year as we began a new school year to talk to teachers and students about recent volcanic activities. What have we learned from them and how? As part of that program, Dr. Lev created some hands-on activities. In the left-hand picture, you'll see Dr. Lev sitting and watching some of us involved in doing a hands-on investigation about viscosity. The person with the cell phone is using it as both a camera and a timer to record how fast different objects will sink in different types of viscosity, materials with different viscosities. The person on the right is adding bubbles to the liquid, change the viscosity. We also have on the website links to useful resources, including the Windows to the Universe video from the series When Nature Strikes. Dr. Lev described the danger of being in the field during an eruption and threats to homes and roadways that are often omitted from textbooks. This fall, Dr. Suzanne Straub has presented one program so far and will present another one next month about volcanoes. In her first one, she used her studies about what happens as material subducts beneath the surface to explore why arc magmas are so rich in silica, investigating the geochemistry of volcanoes. Through Earth to Class, students and teachers learn about some of the questions for which we do not have complete answers and which rarely are discussed in textbooks. In her next presentation in December of this year, she'll look for evidence or present evidence to explain the link between explosive volcanism and the Earth's climate. Dr. Terry Plank, one of the leading volcanologists at Lamont Doherty, and two of her grad students, Megan Newcomb and Anna Barth, gave a presentation in 2018 about their research into volcanic eruptions. How wet, how hot, and how fast are they? Dr. Plank has spent a considerable number of years doing field experiences. These are some of the images that she has on her website. In the top left, she's second from right. In the lower left, she's showing her young son about volcanoes. And then in the other images on the right-hand side, you'll see her with some of her grad students and by herself during studies in the field. She used her experience to explain through her slideshow to the teachers and students that are at the class more about what's going on with the eruptions and the dynamic nature behind an eruption. One of the things that North class participation can lead to was brought out very clearly by Dr. Jim Signorelli, a longtime science teacher at Dwight Morrow High School in Englewood, New Jersey. He boasts the most complete attendance in E2C workshops, having attended about 85% of the 198 programs since 1998. In 2005, he was invited to join me, along with several other Earth to Class teachers, at the HEU fall meeting. At the meeting, he met Volcanoes scientists who invited him to work with them during the summer break. So Jim spent one summer flying over Hawaiian volcanoes and the next summer flying over Alaskan volcanoes. He then utilized his gas chromatography skills to analyze the collected samples. These are some of the photos that he took while he was flying over the Mauna Kea and Shishalden volcanoes. In summary, programs like Earth to Class can both inform and inspire the next generation of volcanologists. Besides learning subject content, by hearing directly from the scientists, E2C presentations provide role models for the aspiring scientists and for the teachers who are stuck in the classroom with their textbooks and videos. Thank you very much for your interest.